We tend to think of death as an ending, a final, absolute stop. Life and death are the two opposites that define our existence, right? But what if it isn't just an on-off switch? What if science has discovered that when the central command of an organism is gone, some parts of it don't just stop, they get a kind of second life? The clinical definition of death seems pretty clear: the irreversible stop of all essential functions. But we see hints all the time that it's not the whole story for the body's components. Think about organ donation. It shows that tissues and cells can keep working long after an organism has passed. A donated heart can be restarted, and other tissues can restore function days later. But what if this cellular resilience goes much, much further than we ever imagined? Researchers began to ask a wild question. What else can these cells do once they're liberated from the body's master plan? The answer is shaking up the scientific world. The journey really took off at institutions like Tufts University, where researchers like Levin wanted to push the boundaries of what cells can do. They didn't just want to watch cells. They wanted to see what would happen if cells were freed from their normal biological programming. Their experiment was both simple and revolutionary. They took living skin cells from the embryos of the African clawed frog, Xenobos laevis. In the frog, these skin cells have one job: form a protective outer layer. But once they were isolated in a petri dish, something astonishing happened. The cells didn't just die off. They started to organize. For some of the initial experiments, an AI running on a supercomputer helped simulate thousands of possible shapes to see which would be most effective for certain tasks. But even without that guidance, the cells, left to their own devices, started to cooperate and build something totally new, something that had never existed on Earth. They were watching the birth of a brand new kind of entity. They named them Xenobots. These aren't robots of metal and wire. They are the world's first living, programmable organisms built from the cells of an animal. Ranging in size from a grain of sand to about a millimeter wide, Xenobots started showing behaviors that had nothing to do with their original job. The tiny hair-like structures on their surface, called cilia, which normally move mucus on a frog, were repurposed. The Xenobots began using them like tiny oars to paddle through the water. They demonstrated the ability to work in swarms, pushing tiny particles into organized piles. They could even heal themselves when cut, and in one of the most mind-bending discoveries, they achieved a bizarre form of replication. Instead of dividing like normal cells, they would find loose cells in their dish, gather them together, and compress them into new, smaller Xenobots that would then do the same. Researchers call this kinematic self-replication, a behavior never before seen in organisms. But the discovery didn't stop there. Researchers wondered, is this just a quirk of frog embryo cells, or is it a more fundamental property of life? So they tried it with human cells. They took tracheal cells from the airway of adult human donors, and without any genetic modification, they created Anthrobots. These human biobots also self-assembled and started to move. Even more startling, in early-stage lab experiments, when they were placed on a wounded layer of neurons, the Anthrobots moved to the damaged area and appeared to encourage significant regrowth, effectively bridging the gap. This was a healing behavior that nobody had programmed or predicted. To understand how this is possible, we have to look past our DNA and into a hidden second layer of biology, a network known as bioelectricity. So how is any of this possible? How can cells, separated from a body, get a second life and perform tasks they were never designed for? The leading theory, driven by the work of Levin and his collaborators, is centered on bioelectricity. Think of your body as having two sets of programming. The first is your DNA, the genetic hardware. But there's also a second layer, a kind of bioelectric software. Cell membranes have tiny channels and pumps that act like microscopic electrical circuits. These circuits create faint electrical signals that allow cells to communicate and coordinate, telling them where to go, what to become, and when to grow. This network functions independently of the brain. When an organism's central control system is gone, these local bioelectric circuits can remain active. They allow cells to tap into what scientists call their inherent plasticity, their ability to adapt and find new ways to cooperate, creating brand new structures and functions from the ground up. They aren't following old orders, they're writing a new script. The existence of Xenobots and Anthrobots forces us to confront one of science's deepest questions. What is life? These entities are assembled from the living cells of organisms, and they move, work, heal, and even build copies of themselves. This has ignited an intense debate. Are they truly alive, or just complex, animate matter? Some scientists, including Michael Levin, suggest we're seeing a form of cellular intelligence. He argues that we humans are biased to see intelligence only in things with brains, but these experiments show that cells themselves have a kind of problem-solving ability. When freed from their usual job of building a frog or a human, they show a kind of freedom to adapt in unexpected ways. This hints that consciousness might not be exclusive to the brain, but could be a more fundamental property of biological tissue. However, many scientists remain skeptical. They argue that these behaviors, while fascinating, are not proof of consciousness, but are simply abnormal reactions to being in an artificial lab environment. They point out that Xenobots and Anthrobots are not complete organisms. They can't reproduce indefinitely in a biological sense and lack the complex, self-sustaining functions of natural life. For now, the question remains wide open, placing these biobots at the center of a profound scientific and philosophical mystery. The implications of this research are staggering, holding both immense promise and serious risks. On one hand, the potential for medicine is revolutionary. Imagine creating anthrobots from a patient's own cells. These personalized biobots could perform tasks inside the body without triggering an immune response. They might swim through arteries to clear out plaque, target and destroy cancer cells with precision, or deliver drugs directly to damaged tissues. Because they naturally biodegrade after a few weeks, there's a built-in safety switch, preventing them from sticking around indefinitely in the body. But with this incredible potential comes a heavy dose of caution. The single biggest hurdle is control. The behavior of these biobots is still largely unpredictable and random. The idea of releasing billions of self-replicating entities into a human body, where they could perform unpredicted actions, is a terrifying prospect. They could potentially clog blood vessels or form unwanted growths. Until their behavior can be made perfectly controllable, their use in humans remains a distant goal. Then there's the dual-use concern, the risk that this technology could be adapted for nefarious purposes, like creating microscopic biological weapons. These ethical questions loom large, forcing us to consider the boundaries we're approaching. The discovery of Xenobots and Anthrobots has fundamentally shaken our understanding of biology. It challenges the rigid lines we've drawn between an organism and its component parts, suggesting that when cellular collectives are freed, they can transform. These tiny, living machines, born from the cells of frogs and humans, have proven that life is far more plastic, adaptable, and mysterious than we ever knew. They aren't just a scientific curiosity. They are a mirror reflecting the deepest questions about our own existence. What is an individual? What is consciousness? And what happens when we gain the power to program life itself? The answers are just beginning to unfold, and they promise to change everything. Comment consciousness or reflexes. Which do you think is driving these biobots? And if you're finding this journey to the edge of science fascinating, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next exploration.